Call the Town of Rome Board meeting for Thursday, November 3rd to order. Number 2, roll call, starting from my left.
Jamadi here.
Minter here.
Hasdell here,
Bauerheit here.
and Mr. Goldman is excused. Number 3, certified posting of the meeting, please.
I certify that on Monday, October 31st, 2022, the agenda for the Town of Rome Board meeting for Thursday, November 3rd was emailed to the Wisconsin Rapids Tribune at 1:05 p.m., posted at Rome Town Hall at 1:17 p.m., at Quick Trip LLC at 3:57 p.m., and at Nakusa Port Edward State Bank at 3:50 p.m.
Thank you. Number 4, can I get a motion to approve the agenda, please?
So moved.
Motion,
Second, please.
I'll second with the exception of number 14, which I request that we postpone to December 14th or December 1st when all board members are present.
Do we need a motion on that, or?
So that sounds like it's a request to amend the
Yeah.
motion. There's a motion on the floor.
Yes, I request that we amend it so that all board members are present in order to properly,
All board members will not be present on the 14th either.
on the
next
1st
meeting.
of December.
1st of December is getting too late.
No, you did it last year on December 16th.
It's getting late.
Last year you did it on December 16th.
We do not have to make a decision tonight, so I'm in favor of keeping 14 open for discussion. Okay,
So
I'm not amending my motion, so that clears that up.
I withdraw my second.
I'll second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Nay.
Motion carried. Number 5, please stand for pledge of allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Number 6, citizen comments. During the citizen comment period of the agenda, the town board welcomes comments from any town resident, not a member of the town board, on any item not on the agenda. Please know that pursuant to state law, the board cannot engage in conversation with you, but may ask questions. The board may refer the item to staff, a standing committee, or a future board agenda for discussion and action. Each person wishing to speak will have up to 3 minutes to speak. Speakers are asked to submit a card to the clerk treasurer providing their name, address, and topic for discussion. The board will also take comment from the public on agenda items as called by the chair, but not during citizen comment. Please note that once the board begins discussion on an agenda item, no further comment will be allowed from the public on that issue. We do have a comment card here from Mr. Nowicki. Steve?
I'm here this evening to ask the board to start consideration and probably enact a special hunt for my particular area, which is Sherwood Forest. Some of you may or may not be familiar with it. But starting this spring, we've had an enormous amount of deer. Saying 21 in my front yard at a time is an enormous amount. I like to keep my yard nice. I did plant flowers and spent about $450 in flowers. Well, that didn't last long. I do spray with different products weekly because I have to change them up, because if you keep them 2-3 weeks, that doesn't deter them. Found in a magazine where I could find a sonic device that, motion activated, can't hear it, only certain pests can hear it. Well, it worked for a while. Got a new neighbor and she went ballistic saying that it's hurting her and she can't stand it, so I stopped using it to be a friendly neighbor. This summer, I try to plant everything, all my bushes, my landscaping is everything that's not deer friendly. We know how far that goes. They started in July eating the tops of the marigolds, just the blossoms. By August, they were eating the whole marigolds, and I had beds of them just to get some color in the yard. The peonies they don't eat, and they stayed till frost took them out. I cut the peonies back like you're supposed to, put them on the top of the crown. While I was gone, they stripped all the leaves off of them and left the stems all over the yard. They chewed down scallions out of the garden, right down to the ground. They're eating scallions now. And then when I lost it is the point that I have spent $13,000 on shoreline protection. I think, Carl, you're aware of that. I did state study, I did their plans, I did the county involved, $13,000, and I'm pretty sure after this year, I will not have a bush left with any leaves because they stripped them by the 1st of October. They stripped all the leaves off the bushes too early, and I'm afraid they may not make it through winter. So like I said, having 17 to 21 deer at a time on your yard, and it's less than half an acre, something has to be done. And I've actually been able to go outside and hit them with a rake, a leaf rake. That's how tame and fed they are. So I can't keep this up, and I believe in lakes and protecting them, but I'm not replanting. I can't afford to keep this up and then just run wild. So I think town needs to consider a special hunt and get it taken care of to bring those levels in a manageable scope.
I agree with you completely, Steve. It's not just Sherwood Forest either. It's a town-wide issue. And we have begun the discussion on having a special hunt, and evidently we have to show that we have provided means of mitigation other than a special hunt and demonstrate what we've done to do that. So we're in the process of starting that. We have University of Wisconsin professor who has got part of his class going to come up here and study that issue for us and show us ways we can help to mitigate it. And then after we get through that process, then we can apply for a special hunt.
If there's anything I can do to help move this along so that it's just not talk, that something does happen out of this, I'd be willing to help. Thank you.
Thank you.
I have heard complaints as well from your side of town, Steve, but I have not heard complaints from the other side of town that there's such a large congregation of deer. Have we gotten complaints from the west side of town? Do you have those on record?
Other than the individuals that have spoke here at town board, and we have had requests about hunting on that side of town, yes.
Hunting on the west side of town, but
Yes.
not large congregations of deer.
Not large congregations of deer.
So that would clarify that this is it is not a town-wide problem.
I don't know the addresses of the individuals. I don't recall them of who spoke here at the meetings.
They were
We-
east side of town, I recall that. Okay,
It's
thank you.
certainly a problem on the east side of town.
Right,
It's nothing to see 100 deer in the field at 9th Avenue
Right.
and D.
on east side of town, correct. Thank you.
No action contemplated except possible referral to future agenda. Number 7, information updates, meeting recaps, recent correspondence, current events, and announcements. Lori?
Nothing.
Dan?
Have nothing?
I have nothing.
I'll let you talk about the Halloween. Go ahead.
So, Chairman just alluded to, on the 29th, we did have Halloween at Rome Town Center. We had 300, maybe plus kids came through. The town were Despicable Me, so we were Groot and the Minions, and it was a really well-attended event. It was very nice. This was a walking event this year, so everyone parked and walked around the Rome Town Center area, which is very conducive to have trick-or-treating. So it was really nice, and we couldn't have asked for better weather. I would just like to mention that tomorrow, November 4th, is the last day to in-person absentee vote. That's here in the boardroom from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. That's the last day before the election on Tuesday. For the fall election on Tuesday, November 8th, the polls will be open from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. There is only one polling location in the town of Rome, and that's here, and we do allow same-day registration. So if there are individuals that would like to come and vote but might not be registered, we would allow, the state of Wisconsin allows same-day registration. So please come out and vote on the 8th.
Okay, number 8, open public hearing. Consideration of levying a special assessment upon property within the following described area for benefits conferred upon the property by the improvement of asphalt paving for 1158 Snow Pass. Parcel identification number 030-01136-0597.
So there was an administrator report in your packet. Last meeting, we did the preliminary resolution. Tonight would be the consideration of the final resolution. As part of that final resolution, a public hearing has to be held, and this is such hearing. would be asking for both individuals speaking in favor or against to the special assessment, and the property owner, Rebecca LeCount, is here tonight. We can invite her up and have a conversation.
Hi, everyone.
Good evening. Is the light on, the red light on there?
What's that? Yep.
So I did call and let Rebecca know that after the last meeting, there was a conversation that 10 years felt like too much, that 7 was included in the preliminary resolution. Certainly can ask Rebecca if comfortable with 7 years. I know there was some discussion with the board at the last meeting of between 5 and 7.
Any comments? Are you comfortable with the
Well,
7?
yeah, we asked for 10, you know, you shoot for high and see what sticks to the wall, so, yeah, we're fine with that.
Do you have any other comments or discussion?
Not one thing.
Do you
I'm
wanna
so
talk-
glad this was painless.
Do you want to talk a little bit about, so the how the blacktop would funnel around the building, maybe how, so you have the dumpsters on the one side. We, it was included in the resolution that it's about 5,400 square feet or cubic feet of blacktop, but do you want to just share a little bit about that?
I also want it to be known that that is an estimate, because I was out there with trying to do math is not my favorite thing when you're my age, but so it was a rough thing. It would just be where the driveway is now. It would go up and around. There is a drive-through attached to the building. I mean, originally when it was Stagecoach, they had a drive-through there, so we would take it along there for maybe in the future to do a drive-through, something like that once I get my act together. So, and then it would go, we have like where we park our cars now, it would go all the way around. So,
Yes.
Just a couple questions. So we did appropriately reflect it as approximate, so we
Yep.
did understand that it was an estimate.
Awesome.
The quote that you received, for the paving, that is though for the full area, whether that's approximately 5,400
correct,
or what is
correct.
it?
They have
exactly?
the right, they weren't able to get back to me in time when you needed it, so that's why I was out there with the yardstick.
And one other question, do you have an idea of when, the, paving was, are they proposing?
When they're gonna do it.
Yeah,
I didn't call and set it up because I just wanted to make sure this duck was in line, so it's not scheduled. I highly doubt it's gonna be done yet this year, just because we're getting close to the end of the season, so maybe not till spring.
okay, but they're going down under the quote, so.
The quote, yes.
Yeah, okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Rebecca.
This is an open meeting, so does anybody have any favorite opinions? Does anybody have any negative? Any against? Hearing none, we don't need a rebuttal. I guess we're, Nick, do we just close it
So
then?
you'll entertain a motion to close the public hearing?
Can I get a motion to close the public hearing?
Move to close the public hearing.
I'll second it.
Any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion's carried. Good to go. Discussion and possible action on the following items. Number 10, discussion and action, approval of the October 20th, 2022 board budget meeting and the October 2022 board meeting minutes.
Move to approve the minutes of the October 2022 board meeting, our budget meeting, and the October 2022 board meeting.
I'll second it.
Any discussion?
Yes, I have some corrections. On the, board meeting minutes for the 20th, going to number 13, please. There was an omission of the actual paving, questions and discussion. It goes into detail about some of the other information, but there was nothing regarding the questions, touching on the questions or discussion about those, paving. Do we need to reflect some of that, as we have done with some of the other discussion on the other plan commission information? I had asked some questions regarding the paving, asking if there was to be, any within 18 months or 24 months, and then there was some discussion. And then, it was stated that he had paving and nothing was gonna be done. Do we need to touch on that? Or are we just gonna leave it off? Do we need to reflect that?
Are you asking me?
I'm asking anybody who's willing to respond.
I thought he was covered with paving. The
I
area that
know, but we
wasn't paved-
touched on it,
paved
so
was-
does it need to be reflected here? Just as it was indicated, the property owner indicated that a variance was in place, the property file will be reviewed. So that was regarding outdoor storage. Now I'm asking about the paving because we talked for several minutes about paving. And then it was stated by a board member that he has paving, so then the issue was dropped. Do we wanna cover that?
There's no paving over there now, correct?
Well,
You-
it's questionable, but I'm just asking the question, so who would like to respond?
I think it's a board decision if you wanted it included in the minutes.
I have no issue.
So the minutes are prepared by the clerk. Obviously, they're subject to approval by the board. You have a motion and a second to approve the minutes. Without that, any kind of clarification, but you can certainly amend that motion to reflect certain things. If you do amend the motion to reflect certain things, unless you have the specific language, you may want to bring it back, because you wouldn't have the ability to see right now what exactly that would be included. So, again, proposed by the clerk treasurer, subject to your all approval. The motion in the second is to approve right now as presented. I think the question is whether something else should be added. That would be your choice to add, with my only thought on it being, if you do decide to add something, you may want to bring it back to review, so you can see exactly what you're approving, that's all.
Well, then I'll just point out that there was discussion and questions and discussion about paving, and it's not there, but
So if I think I made the motion, so if I amend my motion to ask that we include mention that there was a discussion regarding whether or not paving was present at that particular property, is that sufficient, or do we need more than that in the?
If you'd like to amend your motion, then the question will be if.
Yeah, I'll second the amendment,
Okay.
the amended motion.
I would amend my motion then that the minutes reflect that there was discussion about the presence or lack thereof of paving on the property of Abbey Realty.
I'll second that.
And given that, just to clarify my earlier comment, then that sounds very specific. If that is acceptable to you all, then it doesn't necessarily need to come back. It would just be reflected in the minutes.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion's carried. Number 11, discussion and possible action, approval of resolution number 22, final resolution authorizing public improvement and levying special assessment against benefited property in the town of Rome, Adams County, Wisconsin, with a property address of 1158 Snow Pass, parcel identification number 030-01136-0597.
If I could, just one general comment, in your packets was the preliminary resolution. You'll see that I had reflected in the preliminary resolution, since it was adopted as amended, to adjust that 10 years to 7 years. That is reflected in the packet version, that would be 22-11, that resolution. You'll also see for the final resolution, it is proposed with the 7 annual installments, just to make sure that all of what was discussed and approved at the last meeting is reflected in this final resolution.
I'll move to approve resolution number 22-11.
No, it probably is 22 dash something.
It will be assigned a number,
22
22-11.
Yep, 22-11 was the preliminary resolution. I just wanted to
I'm
reflect
sorry.
that now does state the 7 years.
I'll move to approve the resolution. the final resolution authorizing the public improvement and leveling of the special assessment against the property in the Rome Town Center with an address of 1158 Snow Pass for 7 years. Is that adequate?
I'll second the motion.
Any further discussion?
Yeah, I have a question on the number 3, on the now therefore be it resolved. It says, now therefore be it resolved, the town of Rome will carry out the work for said improvements as aforementioned based upon the administrator's report. But we're not doing the paving, she's hiring the paving.
Yeah, so the way that.
Or does that mean because we're funding the, okay,
Yep,
I
so
understand.
we will carry out the work, according to the administrative report.
Ah,
The
I see.
administrative report referenced that quote that we received, so we would carry out that work
Okay.
and then we would
It would.
assess.
Gotcha,
The special
okay.
assessment on the
I
property.
just didn't think it was us running the paving machine over there.
We don't have
No, we don't have one, not yet.
Any further discussion? All those-
Just a question, there's no interest involved, right? It's just a simple divide by 7?
I believe that.
Yeah.
We didn't assign interest?
Is
Yeah.
no interest.
Okay.
Yep.
Any further discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Number 12, discussion and possible action, review agreement for building inspection services and consider potential for coordination with neighboring municipalities for services.
So there was a memo in the packet in addition to our current agreement for building inspection services. Given that it's getting close to the first of the year, it was an appropriate time just to be looking at the agreement. Additionally, with the substantial amount of growth that we've experienced in the community, this was just an opportunity to look at the agreement and say, is there anything else that we need to be having done? Are there any changes that we'd like to make to the agreement? In addition, we've had a lot of success with our current cooperation with neighboring municipalities. Is this another opportunity to potentially partner with neighboring municipalities? I did indicate in the resolution, I don't know if there are neighboring municipalities that necessarily want to participate or would be thinking about coordination. Just wanted to start the conversation and then we would explore it further with them. Dan Hansen, who is our current building inspector, is also here tonight if you had direct questions about building inspection.
I have some questions, reading through this. First of all, who was it that suggested we review this?
I think it came up as a suggestion from the chairman that we would look at it.
I was the one that brought it up, yes.
Okay. And then, have the services so far been satisfactory? Okay. And timely and efficient, and any customer service complaints?
So, building inspection is an interesting dynamic, right?
Yeah.
Because you are asking people sometimes to correct things where
Yeah.
they've made investments.
Yep.
So, do we have a 0 complaint rating?
No.
Would that be possible? I am uncertain that it could be.
I will state though that I've talked to a number of people and they've actually are very happy with Dan's services. So I will tell you that much, the people that I've had experience with, so I will tell you that. How is it that you happen to come across asking about Grand Rapids?
Grand Rapids actually did, they had put forth a request for proposal and said that they were looking at their agreement. So, that is how we came across Grand Rapids, is because they had put out a public request for proposal. I would also just mention, I included at your seats tonight what our current, rates are too for building and zoning permits. So the rates that you see within the service agreement are the rates that are charged to us. They aren't necessarily the rates that are charged for then the building permit, because we do have Emily who processes through that paperwork, right, and sends it to Dan for review. So we have administrative costs that are associated with it. So just if you're looking at that agreement, I wanted to provide this too, so you knew that there's an additional cost to those items.
So we charge for the services that Emily provides on top of the fees that Dan charges?
There is a
markup built in. So a good example would be a structure is, it's a $75 minimum, ours is a $75 minimum, but there's 11 cents and we charge 25. So 11 cents of every 25 cents that's charged would go to Dan, and the rest would stay with the town.
So we cover the cost of Emily's services as well. Okay.
And again, Emily's processing, she's taking in that paperwork, she's processing it, she's sending it to Dan.
Okay. And then we also get 20% of his fees.
You get a discount of 20%, yes. On the
As a
overall bill.
customer, or we,
The town does, it's taken off of
that's what I thought, okay.
the monthly invoice.
Yeah, and I bring it up, you'll still
Go
going?
ahead if you wanna take a break from my, cause I have more.
No, keep going.
All right, I can finish mine then. Is there anything currently lacking in the services that you think we could improve by partnering up with someone?
Always the potential for maybe additional cost savings, always the potential for if there, are others that are out there that maybe have interest, right? I think we've asked this question with other agreements in the past, are there others out there, and it's just time that we ask because you should do it on a regular rotation to stay competitive.
Right, okay.
And I'm not aware that, Dan hasn't informed us that there would be any fee increases for next year.
No fee increases? That's one thing I've heard though too, from people that have complimented his services, is that he's very thorough. You know, that's one thing I've heard. Administrative services, when you do bring up Emily, this is one thing I thought of, and I was curious, who does the paperwork? Is this one thing that we could actually streamline and have his service, have the paperwork online, or have him do his own administrative work, that sort of thing? That was one question I had. And does he have office hours here at the town? And how would that change if 2 towns were partnering up, or 3 towns? What does Saratoga do? There was more than 2 towns. I just don't see how 2 towns far apart, if there'd be more than 2 towns, if it would be better. I just don't see how just one other town would really benefit us, but those were my questions for now.
Saratoga actually just, they tried to go through a hiring process. I don't believe they were successful in hiring anyone, but they did bring on the administrator for the village of Port Edwards is doing their zoning.
Yeah.
I don't know who's doing their building inspection,
His name is Josh.
but, Boz is doing their
Right.
zoning piece.
Do you think that by digitizing a lot of those forms, it could take up a lot of the work that Emily's doing, freeing up her time? It's just a thought, you know, for something down the road for further discussion, and maybe, saving time there.
Don't people usually come with drawings and things like that when they apply for a permit, or does that happen later on?
So if you, there would be 2 differences here, would be a new home or something that would be like a remodel or just a garage. If it's a new home, that's already online by state of Wisconsin, it's required to be online. Most people work with the contractor, and that contractor's familiar with the process, so that is online, is streamlined, and it comes through to us as a document. I would tell you that the basement remodels and I'm building an addition to my garage, or those kinds of things, are usually still done by the homeowner, and that's a paper process. And while I'm certainly not opposed that we would try to put it online, most people like to have someone that will help them through that, because they are facilitating contractors coming into their property, and they're serving as the general, but it's not something that they've done
Yeah.
before. They
I'm
need
talking
someone to
permits.
walk through
I'm
it.
talking the permits, the actual permits, like the ones that are sitting in the rack up there. Those could be online, correct? Are they online currently? That's what I was asking about, I'm not talking drawings.
Right, you could print off the permits that, like your building permit and the fee worksheet is all online.
Okay.
You can print them off and fill them out and bring them in. Or you could, if you were computer savvy and could fill them in,
Right.
yes, you can,
Most
and
people
print
are
them off.
today, that's what I was referring to,
Yes.
not the drawings.
Okay.
Thank you.
And you still would have to bring in drawings, so,
Right,
yeah. I think just most people prefer to work directly with someone.
right, they still want that personal touch, right. Thank you.
And one reason I brought this up is that there are large numbers coming through with the amount of building we have going on over the last couple of years and going forward. And I think we have a fiduciary duty to our residents to ensure that we are getting the best bang for their buck when we have these inspection services, and it really doesn't hurt to go out and see what else is out there. I didn't really expect to have a action tonight, but I would like to explore, see what else is out there, and if there's a possibility of teaming up with another community that would be beneficial, that we should look at that. I'm not saying we shouldn't.
Is that a directive? I mean, I'm happy to reach out to, both
I'd like-
Saratoga and Grand Rapids.
I'd like to explore and see what's out there. Yeah.
I think we should take a vote on it. I mean, if
Vote
our
on what?
services aren't lacking, I mean, why would we?
We're looking at a lot of money going out for services for our residents.
What do you mean going out?
We're collecting it, but the people that are building are paying it. If there's savings out there, then we should be looking at it.
Can I say something?
Yeah, I'd like.
Sure, you can come on up.
It just should be noted, two things. Wisconsin Rapids, along with Port Edwards Village of, that's the only one I know of that actually shares an inspector. And I believe Port Edwards just pays Wisconsin Rapids because it's an employee. So that part would be something that, I don't know how a contract would be developed that would save anybody anything to group municipalities together, outside the fact that I was your employee and you just serviced me out. That would be the method for something like that I can think of. Second of all, your fee schedule is your fee schedule. What you charge on a permit is considerably higher than my fee schedule. So I don't know of any company out there that charges what the town charges. So by going to another person or staying with me, that would save nobody anything. The only way that could be possibly done is if you guys revamped your entire fee schedule.
So you're saying it's our markup that's causing the greater expense?
It's not really a cause. It's just your fee schedule is your fee schedule. I don't charge your fee schedule. I charge you considerably less via contract than what you charge the people. And of that, I still give 20% back for administrative purposes because Emily is in the office managing the paper. So, that's me giving back to you because I don't have to come in here and do that kind of stuff. That would be where that 20% return comes to you.
Okay.
Maybe
Right.
Okay, thank you for that information.
Thanks.
Maybe we could look at this again
Bob,
then.
did
in
you
our-
have a
Yeah, I
question?
was gonna ask Dan, do you think our fee schedule is out of line compared to other municipalities?
I do not.
Yeah, I
No.
don't think so
No,
either. Just-
for the level of your clientele is considerably higher than the average person. I would say Rome has a problem trying to match up to other municipalities within this area. You would have to compare yourself to places like Madison and Milwaukee and the like. And when you talk to those people, they don't think we're charging enough because their fees are even considerably higher than ours. Just like a lot of places where work without permits, they charge 3 times a regular permit instead of double fees. So there's a lot of things we don't do, and our prices are on the low end of scale if you're comparing, apples to apples. Now, if you take Town of Sherry, yeah, our prices are ridiculous. Town of Sherry's got a population of 2,000 and 90% of those are farmers that, they're not doctors, lawyers, and the likes.
But how many new homes did the town of Sherry build last year?
2.
Yeah, but
And they don't have the lakes, they don't have the golf courses, they don't have any, the amenities that you have here,
Comparing
you're,
apples
you're
to
well within reason on your fee schedule.
right. Good question, Bob, thank you.
I still do not see a reason for not seeing what else is out there. If we can get savings, we should explore that, to my opinion.
I don't see any reason to change it, but
I don't
if you
either.
want to explore possibilities, that's fine with me, but.
Can we put some numbers to this and push it on to another agenda?
What kind of numbers would you like to see?
Well, he's talking about 20% coming back to us. I haven't seen that on any of the reports, so I'd like to start looking and diving into some of the numbers.
It doesn't come back to us, it's taken off of, so I can certainly provide like a
It's
year's
reduced.
worth of invoices, but it's taken as a discount. I did print, so 2022 to date, our agreement for building inspection services has been $86,913. So we'd still have 2 more months of invoices that would go on that. Last year was high, cause we did have substantial building, and so our contract for building inspection services was $96,745. But you're getting, so the, whatever the monthly invoice is submitted, there's 20% that's taken off that monthly invoice. And so the total of all invoices for the year would be those numbers. But I'm happy to provide any additional numbers that you would like to see.
I think we have enough information unless we've had some serious complaints about his work or he explained all the numbers to us. I don't see a reason to change anything.
Not looking to change, looking to explore. Big difference. Should we table this?
Yeah, I think it can be tabled.
Okay, let's table this.
Do you need, should we take a motion to table just so we have a record that it's tabled?
I don't think it's,
You can, otherwise, the other question, I guess, to that would be just table it until a certain time, or just table indefinitely until, or unless something else comes up that warrants it to be on an agenda?
When's the contract up? Current contract?
It just auto renews, and I think you have to give a 30-day written notice if you would want to exit the contract. Either party upon 30 days of written notice to the other party may terminate this agreement.
Next agenda is gonna be lighter. Should we go after that?
Next agenda is gonna be super heavy, and then we get like.
All right, let's push left. December 1st, or is that our next one?
The 17th is our next one, and then December 1st.
December 1st, okay. Let's look at December 1st. All right, number 13, discussion and possible action, review archive social, archiving software capturing every record from town managed social media pages.
So Archive Social had reached out to the town and provided the PowerPoint that you have in your packet. It is a software management company that can do both social media and websites, and it captures any previous history that's been on the site. It would only be for, in the social media case, sites that we manage. So it's not all social media sites, it's things in which the town would be the administrator of. And the flip side would be on our website. A good example would be through the last couple weeks, I've been posting updated maps of where we are with Firewise, right? So it would be taking an archive to show that every map was posted and the date that it got posted onto the website. So they had presented this to us. We did include some numbers in the budget because we wanted to explore it further. It was requested to come to the meeting tonight, which stimulated a conversation with town attorney, and he did some research and then provided you the 2 additional documents, these 2 that I handed out tonight. So kind of looking at this PowerPoint, it's a little heavy, right? But I think we just wanted to have a larger conversation about what does it mean to have the social media sites, what does that mean as far as our responsibility for them, and in turns with the website too, because that's also another way that we reach out electronically to people. So maybe Nick can just take a couple moments and explain these 2 additional handouts.
Thank you. if it's all right, I'd like to just give an overview of the documents that I provided to you this evening and why I did that. You all had a PowerPoint presentation that was provided to you by the vendor or Archive Social. What I did beyond that, because Archive Social is they're a national company, right? They're operating in 50 states. Every state has a different rules and regulations as they relate to open records. And so what I did was I provided you 2 documents that come from the state of Wisconsin, specifically the Public Records Board. One is a letter from the chair. It's just a general overview. I felt it was helpful to have the Public Records Board's position on social media sites and how they fit in with open records law. It is a little bit of an older letter, not that that makes it the wrong information. In fact, I think it's still accurate information to date. What is probably more beneficial is there's a management and retention of public records and social media best practices that's provided by the Public Records Board. That is the 2-page document that has some blue on it down the column, or the left-hand column. I'd like to call your attention to 2 things on the second page of that document, so it'll be on the reverse side of that document. So they do a real good job of kind of compartmentalizing some of the issues that exist with social media sites and open records law. One of those segments or compartments that they do is identifying what is a record. So that's the upper left-hand kind of quadrant of the 4 quadrants on the second page. I think that's good information. I would also just note that it's interesting in a interesting interplay, really, that last point on that quadrant, which talks about if it's a information and post not considered a public record are those that are accessed or referenced as copies or duplicates of official records already being retained elsewhere. I call your attention to that, not because I'm saying that this is wrong or not a good idea to have, but just a general point that I'm going to then lead into maybe a more general recommendation that oftentimes I think with municipal social media sites there is I'd almost call it a reposting of information that is perhaps posted on their website, right, or posted elsewhere. Maybe it's a map that is on the website that is reposted out there on social media, and so that is what that's getting at, right? Is oftentimes that's a copy of a record that exists elsewhere, and that would be, in the example of the map, it'd be a record that exists on our website that is copied over on social media. That doesn't mean that all the other pieces of that post aren't a record that we have to have some obligation to retain, but I just wanted to call your attention to the idea that as Wisconsin looks at it, there is some distinguishment between where that record or what that document, where it actually originates and where it's posted. A lot of times with municipal sites, social media sites in general, they will be reposts of something that's posted maybe originally or stored originally elsewhere, like our website. But then it goes to my general recommendation. That would be on that second quadrant on the top, so the right quadrant on the top. Best practices. That number 1 best practice on that list is my recommendation to you all. What we don't have right now, and what my recommendation would be that we have before we even start to look at archiving solutions, this being maybe one option, and there are some other ones I believe out there, is a social media policy. We really should have a social media policy. I would strongly recommend that we work towards developing and implementing a social media policy before we even go down this road, and put some of these best practices in place for our social media use. Then maybe explore some of the archiving solutions. Yeah.
I don't understand why we even have a Facebook page. We've already decided, I think here, maybe we didn't vote on it, but I think we decided that we would not make any comments on Nextdoor, right? And there's plenty of information on our website. I think that's the place we ought to drive people to. And considering what it costs for our website versus these prices here, I think these prices are very high. We probably could satisfy all of our archiving needs if we restricted our information to our website and have our website developer archive those records for us.
I happen to agree with Bob, and I think that with what we're spending to improve our website, which we just talked about at our last meeting, it needs updating. And we should work on updating that and getting more information out there.
Our website is pretty well up to date. I don't think
No,
that's,
it is, but it does need more updating. I've gone through most of the pages, and there is some updating that does need to be done. I'm not saying that to offend anybody,
yeah,
but it does need some updating.
It's also not mobile enabled. I mean, the updates
It is getting there, but it does need to be mobile updated, yes.
which with our new upgrade it will be completed.
I'm just,
And you're right about
I don't
Facebook.
know what
There's
you're
no
talking
need
about.
for us to be on Facebook. We really shouldn't. And where are our analytics on Facebook that would justify spending this kind of money?
Right. But then to Attorney Flanagan's point, that's the exact reason why we need to develop a social media policy.
Exactly.
If we want our policy to be, we will not use any of the currently known social media platforms or any future ones to be decided, we should make that policy, vote on it here, and, not just, it's all well and good to say, oh, let's not post out on Facebook.
if we have a Facebook page, I think it should simply say, go see
Right.
RomeWI.com.
But that gets to the social media policy.
And when you call into the town and you can't get through to anybody, we're already referred to, you want more information, go to www.romewi.com and you can find more information there. So we're already referring people to our
Yeah.
website.
Just to be clear, when you talk about our webpage needing update, you're talking about the structure of it or the information that's contained in it?
Some of the content needs updating, like, like groups, different community groups. Some of that's a little bit outdated, like the Chester School Forest or things like that. There's a GoFundMe page for the old school forest when we were gonna do trails out there and that sort of thing. Now the Parks is doing new things out there, Some of that's a little outdated. I'm talking content, not the page.
Okay.
That's why I wasn't offending anybody. I'm just saying some of the content.
Yeah, I was just wondering which
Right,
one you were
right.
talking about.
So there's different spots out there and different forms could be out there that would make it easier for those people that are computer savvy. They could go out there, fill out a form, and be done.
And I think before we act on anything down the line with, and I know this is just one company that reached out to us, obviously we'd have to go through an RFP and see what else is out there, because this may or may not be competitive given our size and our geographic location and things like that. I saw the one, they had something about one of the school districts deleted a bunch of posts and, on their Facebook page, and, it's just like deleting the minutes. You can't delete the minutes, you can't delete the posts.
Yeah, I agree. I think we should ask our staff to develop a web policy for us.
Yeah,
on
develop
what
a
sites-
social media and web
what
policy
we're gonna
for us.
include and what we're not gonna include where, and bring it back to the board.
How much activity do we actually get on Facebook?
So we have a couple different pages. We have the town general page. I would say medium. We have a page for Derek-Hughes, a lot. There's like 8,000 followers on the Derek-Hughes page. And then the police department and the fire department have Facebook pages. And the police department, they have used it successfully for things that are more instantaneous. Lost dogs, have you seen this individual? We're looking for additional information, those kinds of things.
If Derek uses a town-owned entity, and that's, you probably do want Facebook and different social media for that, because that's a big movement for all those folks, but put this back in the same boat. I don't think we need Facebook either for the town, but for Derek Hughes, yeah.
They don't have a Facebook page, I believe. It's only the town website. Oh, they do have a
Derek-Hughes has a Facebook
Yeah,
page,
they're
yeah.
on the Watfa page too, but I think if we go at the analytics, which are really easy to get, there's a way to get the analytics off of Facebook. And you can find out how many posts there are a day, because I used to do that. How many likes you get, how many followers you have, and we can base it off of that.
The desire to wanna keep it or not, or the decision to keep it or not, based off the analytics, is what you're saying?
No, I'm just saying for the town itself, but at Derek-Hughes you can find out, and then maybe it's Derek-Hughes we have to monitor differently, but for the town website, I think we just need the website for the town. And we don't need to get into this for the town. We're not gonna get into Twitter, and who's gonna monitor that? Who's even got the time to do that? We're government.
That's when you
anyway.
hire a social media
Yeah,
person
and
for
we're
your
not-
staff, and
yeah,
I don't think
and
we're going there yet.
No, not for government, no.
And Jamie has posted on Facebook. You answer questions and things like that on there, don't you? Mhm. Yeah, I just don't think it's necessary. I really think our only response on Facebook would be to see www.romewi.com.
And I think the police know how to govern themselves, and the fire department should know how well, but, I mean, if we have some analytics to work with, we have. But a policy, I think Supervisor Minter is right, if you start with a policy and don't try to reinvent the wheel, look at somebody that's already got a good policy that's in place, and let's work off of that, and.
There are some good examples out there. I mean, I think that we could have a draft, I'm not suggesting it would be a final, but a draft for discussion likely in December that we could look at.
There's some restrictions you can put on Facebook too, so like Bob said, put our site on there and then restrict it to anything else, nothing. No comments, no questions. You
Well,
can,
yeah, you can even
close it off.
prevent postings,
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, you can stop all that.
just a question, who asked for this to be on here?
You had asked for Archive Social to be on.
I sent you an email asking you about it, but no.
No, it's good it came up. That's a lot of money.
Okay.
All right. No action?
No action.
Except
Oh,
referral to a future agenda on the policy.
policy,
Yeah.
yeah,
So
that we start
will work
looking
on a
at.
policy, to propose, at least a draft version to you all probably in December at some
For
point.
how to handle social media, yeah.
Social media and web policy.
Okay, number 14, the board may go into closed session pursuant to Wisconsin State Statute, Section 19.85, Sub 1, Sub C, considering employment, promotion, compensation, or performance evaluation data of any public employee over which the governmental body has jurisdiction or exercises responsibility. Town administrator, 12-month evaluation.
I just have a quick question for the attorney before we. If we take a roll call vote on this, and I were to say no, does that mean I can't go into the closed session?
No, you can absolutely go into closed session.
Okay, entertain a motion.
I move that we go into closed session pursuant to section Wisconsin statute 19.85 sub 1 sub C.
You get a second? I will second it. You get a roll call vote, starting from my left.
No.
Oh, sure, I come up second. No.
Yay.
Okay,
We have a tie? We do nothing?
Motion fails with a tie.
Okay, motion fails. Number 15, the board reserves the right to enter into open session. We do not have to proceed with that, correct?
Correct.
So, okay. All right, number 16, next agenda items.
So next meeting will be immediately following the budget hearing and town meeting. So we will have, I believe, 3 or 4 plan commission items. We also, Supervisor Barheit had asked for an update about brush and timber, which we would have ready for that next meeting, but I'm wondering if we could wait until December
That'd be
for
fine.
that,
Nice.
cause
Thank
that'll
you.
be a late meeting.
May I ask for the update? Were you asking like how much it cost the town or how
No.
successful it
How is
was?
that-
or-
Yeah, how successful we have been, where we are with tickets and those kinds of things.
That's good, cause I was curious about tickets too, like especially on the west side of town, because we still have a lot of lots with dead brush and timber that did not get picked up. So I'm curious how many maybe outstanding tickets we have on this side of town?
And again, our next section two was October 31st, so we don't get to all the way through to the west side of town until the end of January. Those individuals have several more months that they, before reinspection.
Oh, okay, so we'll get that as part of the update then?
You'll get how many per section, per zone got notice, how many
Okay,
have
I
already
was
gone into
wondering that.
compliance.
That would
And
be
then I
great.
think we need to have a discussion too about what we're gonna do about people who are habitually ignoring it, because the ordinance says they can be ticketed on a daily basis, I believe.
And the town attorney will address that.
Okay,
But it would be interesting to know though too, how many like truckloads and how much,
We will do a recap of what we collected through this just previous pickup, yep.
thank you.
So if we wait till December 1st for that one, and then we'll also have budget approval, and we'll have an additional, cause the town board has to approve the budget after the electors approve it that night, and we'll have one carryover request. As we, in the police department, when we use prior year funds, cause that doesn't happen on an every year basis, we have to do that as a separate agenda item. Just like we did last year with the $50,000 that they had carried forward for the boat, so.
But now Supervisor Bauerheit won't be here on the 17th. Should we wait till the 1st to approve the budget then, so he can be here for discussion?
We can't, we need to get those numbers
State
down
law.
to the county.
Oh,
so
because of the tax
can be
bills,
corrected.
okay.
So we can,
I've looked it over, so I'm in agreement with it
Okay.
anyway.
But then we need to move, number 14 and 15 to December 1st?
No, I want 14 and 15 on December 1st and November 17th. It's a two-part series. We're talking about somebody's employment, we gotta discuss what's happened and what's going forward on the goals.
Right,
Okay, well,
but
don't-
we
Not
have
for
the
one
same,
parent.
but we'll have the same thing that caused the issue here tonight.
It'll have to be the first and the next one, and we're starting to get late in the year.
Not really, because we,
I want 2 meetings.
but don't get so
I
excited.
want 2 meetings. okay?
Fine, but you can have it December 1st and December, because we'll have everybody here in December, Carl.
We don't, no, I won't be here the second meeting in December. I've got surgery.
All right, well then you just needed to tell us that without getting so
I shouldn't have to explain it.
well,
It's an important item.
yes, it's very important.
It
That's
takes
why
2
we,
meetings, 1 is not enough.
right, but we want everybody here, then couldn't it be in December and January, because it was late last year? Why couldn't it be one in December and one in January?
The goal's gotta be set. January's already starting, the clock starts in January.
But,
so I'm hearing item 14 also then would get moved to the 17th.
Yes.
And item number 12 would go back to December 1st, the item on building inspection, or that would stay, or that would go to the 17th?
I wouldn't put it on the 17th.
Okay,
it's gonna get too late, and we're already probably not gonna have many people, because that's a Packer night.
Any others? Number, 17, next meeting date and time?
next meeting date and time then will be November 17th. Again, that meeting will start at 6 o'clock with the town meeting and the budget hearing. And then at the conclusion of that, we'll do the regular town board meeting. We will likely do that, we'll set that meeting up in the community room, which we usually do in the community room just in case we have a larger crowd, so. And then we'll do the regular board meeting rather than flipping back, we'll just do that in the community room too.
Can I get a motion for adjournment?
Move to adjourn.
I'll second it.
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, we are adjourned.
Meeting adjourned at 5:58 PM.